YouTube. Otaku Moto here. We're going to be continuing on page 227 of The Grapes of Wrath. Of course, before we start, we're going to go ahead and smoke. Now, I got a little treat for myself, and hopefully the audience could follow that I have a blunt with me today. I'm extremely excited to smoke it. I'm not too much of a... When I started this, I was more so thinking about clinkage. If you know about this channel, you know that I like to sit there and be a little ceremonial while I smoke. Right now, I'm going to light this blunt, and we're going to continue on page 227 at the top. It's going to be extremely satisfying. Let's get to it. Back in my day, I tell you what. So, of course, this outfit that I'm putting on is my attempt in trying to immerse myself into the story. The Grapes of Wrath is set in times where people were, trying to cover themselves from the sun as much as often, but wearing white, button up, just to not be affected by the sun so much. Even people understood back then that color disposition towards sunlight is differed between white and I just did that. I don't give a fuck. This is my life, nigga. The hotel room is my ashtray. Yeah, I'm probably gonna get demonetized for cursing and saying funny words. Anyways, YouTube don't think it's so funny. Alright, let's get into it. And also, before we start, make sure you have water. It's going to be a journey together. Let's do this. The Grapes of Wrath, page 227. Tom said uneasily, "Ma, I got something to tell you." Noah. He went down to the river. He ain't going on with us. It took a moment for Ma to understand. Why? She asked softly. I don't know. Says he gots to. Says he gots to say. Says for me to tell you. Make sure real quick that we're not burning quality. We weren't burning quality, so this is good that I did that. How'd he eat? She demanded. I don't know. Says he's gonna catch fish. Ma was silent for a long time. Family's falling apart, she said. I don't know. Seems like I can't think no more. I just can't think. There's too much going on. Tom said lamely. He'll be alright, Ma. He's a funny kind of fella. Ma turned stun-eyed towards the river. I just can't seem to think no more. Tom looked down the line of tents and saw Ruthie and Winefield standing in front of a tent. Decorous conversation with someone inside. Ruthie was twisting her skirt in her hands while Winefield dug a hole in the ground with his toe. Tom called, "You, Ruthie!" She looked up and saw him and trotted towards him with Winefield behind her. When she came up, Tom said, "You go on and get our folks. They're sleeping down the willows. Get them, and you and Winefield, I tell the Wilsons we're going to get rolling soon." The children spun around and charged off. Tom said, "Ma, how's Grandma now?" "Well, she got sleep today. Maybe she's better. She's still asleeping." "That's good. How much pork we got?" "Not very much. Quarter hog." "Well, we gotta fill the other keg with water. Gotta take water along." They could hear Ruthie's shrill cry for the men down in the willows. Ma shoved willow sticks into the fire and made it crackle up about the black pot. She said, I pray to God we're gonna get some rest. I pray to Jesus we're gonna lay down in a nice place." The sun sank towards the baked and broken hill to the west. The pot over the fire bubbled furiously. Ma went under the trampoline and came out with an apron full of potatoes, and she dropped them into the boiling water. I pray to God we're gonna be let us wash some of these clothes. I ain't never been so dirty like this. Don't ever wash potatoes before we boil them. I wonder why. Seems like the hearts took out of us. The man came trooping up from the willows, and their eyes were full of sleep, and their faces were red and puffed with daytime sleep. Paul said, "What's the matter?" "We're going," said Tom. "Cop says we gotta go. Might as well get her over, get a good start, and maybe we'll be through her. Near 300 miles we'll be going." Paul said, "I thought we was gonna get some rest." "Well, we ain't. We gotta go, Paul," Tom said. "No, I ain't going either." He walked out on down to the river. "Ain't going? Question mark. What the hell's the matter with them?" And then Paul caught himself. "My fault," he said miserably. "That boy's all my fault." "No," said Tom. "I don't want to talk about it no more," said Paul. "I can't. My fault." "Well, we gotta go," said Tom. Wilson walked near for the last words. "We can't go, folks," he said. "Shirley down there, she gotta get rest. She ain't gonna get across that desert alive if she don't." They were silent with his words. Then Tom said, "Cop says will run us in if we're here tomorrow." Wilson shook his head. His eyes were glazed with worry, and a paleness showed through his dark skin. "Just have to do her then. Shirley can't go. If they jail us, why, they'll have to jail us. She's gonna have to rest to get stronger there." Paul said, "Maybe we better wait and we'll all go together." "No," said Wilson. "I've been nice to it. You've been nice to us. You've been kind. But you can't stay here. You gotta get on with the jobs and work. We ain't gonna let you stay here." Paul said excitedly, "But you ain't got nothing." Wilson smiled. "Never had nothing when you took us up. This ain't none of your business. Don't you make us get mean. You gotta go, and I'll get mean and mad if you don't." Ma beckoned Paul into the cover of a trampoline and spoke softly to him. Wilson turned to Casey. Shirley wants you should go see her." They didn't put a comma in between. That wasn't me. "Sure," said the preacher. He walked to the Wilson tent, tiny and gray, and he slipped the flaps across and at her. It was dusky and hot. The mattress laid on the ground and the equipment was scattered about, as it had been unloaded in the morning. Shirley laid on the mattress, her eyes wide and bright. He stood and looked down at her, her large head bent and stringy muscles of her neck tied around the sides, and he shook off his hat and held it in his hand. She said, "Did my man tell you we couldn't go on?" I gotta put it in Shirley's voice. "Did my man tell you we couldn't go on?" "That's what he said." Her low, beautiful voice went on. "I want us to go. I know I want to live on the other side. But he'll be across anyways. But he won't go. He don't know. He thinks it's gonna be alright. He just don't know." "He says he won't go." "I know. He's stubborn. I asked you to come and say a prayer." "I ain't a preacher," he said softly. "My prayers ain't no good." She moistened her lips. "I was there when the old man died. You said one then." "It wasn't no prayer." It was a prayer, she said. It wasn't no preacher's prayer. It was a good prayer. I want you to say one for me. I don't know what to say. She closed her eyes for a minute and then opened them again. Then say one for yourself. Don't use no words to it. That'd be alright. I got no God, he said. That's deep. I got no God. Wow. You got a God. Don't make no difference if you don't know what he looks like. The preacher bowed his head. She watched him apprehensively, and when he raised his head again, she looked relieved. That's good, she said. That's what I needed. Somebody close enough to pray. Next page. He shook his head as though he had wakened himself. I don't understand this here, he said, and she replied, Yes. You know, don't you? ? I know, he said. I know, but I don't understand. Maybe you'll rest it a few days and then come on. She shook her head slowly from side to side. I'm just pain covered with skin. I know what it is, but I won't tell him. He'll be too sad. He wouldn't know what to do anyways. Maybe in the night, when he's asleep, when he wakes up, it won't be so bad. You want I should stay with you and not go on? No, she said. No. When I was a little girl and used to sing, folks around us used to say I sung nice like Jen and Lean. Folks used to come and listen when I sang. And when they stood and me and singing, why, me and them was together more than you would ever know. I was thankful. There ain't so many folks could feel so fed up, so close and them folks standing there and me a singing. Thought maybe I'd sing at theaters, but I never done. And I'm glad. There wasn't no getting between me and them. And that's why I want you to pray. I want you to feel that closeness once more. It's the same thing, singing and praying, just the same thing. I wish you could hear me sing. He looked down at her, into her eyes. Goodbye, he said. She shook her head slowly back and forth and closed her lips right, and the preacher went out of the dusky tent, into the blinding light. The men were all loading up the truck, Uncle John on top, while the others passed equipment up to him. He stowed it carefully, keeping the surface level. Ma emptied the quarter of a keg of salt pork into the pan, and Tom and Al took both little barrels to the river and washed them. They tied them in the running boards and carried water in buckets to fill them. Then over the top, they tied canvas to keep them from slopping the water out. Slopping? Only the tarpaulin, I guess that's what it is, tarpaulin, not trampoline, but potato, and Grandma's mattress were left to be put on. Tom said, with the load we'll take, this old wagon will boil her head off. We gotta have plenty of water. Ma passed the boiled potatoes out and brought the hat sack in the tent and put it with the pan of pork. The family are standing, shuffling their feet and tossing the hot potatoes in hand to hand until they cooled. Ma went to the Wilson tent and stayed for 10 minutes, and then she came out quickly. It's time to go, she said. The men went under the tarpaulin. Grandma still slept, her mouth wide open. They lifted the whole mattress gently and passed it up on top of the truck. Grandma drew her up her skinny legs and frowned in her sleep, but she did not awaken. Uncle John and Paul tied the tarpaulin over the crosspiece, making a little right tent on top of the load. They lashed it down to the sidebars, and then they were ready. Paul took out his purse and dug 2 crust bills from it. He went to Wilson and held it out. We want you should take this, and he pointed to the pork and potatoes. And that. Wilson hung his head and shook it sharply. I ain't gonna do it, he said. You ain't got much. We got enough to get there, said Paul. We ain't left at all. We'll have work right off. I ain't gonna do it, said Wilson. I'll get mean if you try me. Ma took the 2 bills from Paul's hand. She folded them neatly and put them on the ground and placed the pork pan over them. That's where they'll be, she said. If you don't get them, somebody else will. Wilson, his head still down, turned and went out to his tent. He stepped inside and the flaps fell behind him. For a few moments the family waited, and then, "We gotta go," said Tom. "It's near 4. The family climbed onto the truck. Ma on top, beside Grandma, Tom and Al and Pa in the seat, and Wilf, Winefield in Pa's lap. Connie and Rosa Sharon made a nest against the cart. Cap. The preacher and Uncle John and Ruthie were in a tangle on the load. Paul called, "Goodbye, Mr. and Mrs. Wilson." There was no answer from the tent. Goodbye, Wilsons. I just want to say that personally. I hope Sherry's going to be okay. I hope the Wilsons are going to be alive. Maybe the freaking police will run them in. They'll get like proper treatment. I just don't like how defeating this book is. Extremely hard to get past. Alright. Tom started the engine and truck hobbled away. Lumbled away. And they crawled up the rough road towards Needles and the highway. Ma looked back. Wilson stood in front of the tent, staring after them, and his hat was in his hand. The sun fell full on his face. So we lost Nelson and the Wilsons. Oh my gosh. Okay, we gotta continue. The sun fell full on his face. Ma waved her hand at him, but he did not respond. Tom kept the truck in second gear over the rough road. To protect the springs, at Needles he drove in a service station, checked the worn tires for air, checked the spare tires in the back. He had the gas tank full, and he bought 2 5-gallon cans of gasoline. Next page. Right here, we're going to give it a little smoke. We're at page 232. So far, so good. I'm liking what's happening. Well, not liking what's happening, but we are moving along with the plot. It's extremely disheartening to know that more like people are dropping like flies out here. One way or another, they are not surviving, whether it's because of their own psyche or the mental or physical of their conditions. And it's like Ma is starting to feel it really, really bad, and I feel so bad for her because get some water in you right now, get some smoking. I feel bad that Ma is sitting there. She feels the weight. Like at the beginning of the story, they describe her very well because it's showing right now that she is truly the tether of this family. Like, she's keeping everybody fed. She's even keeping people that aren't even coming along with them fed. Giving them money, making the decisions. It's very honorable. All right. Let's continue. This blood is not wanting to be extinguished. Come on, man. There we go. Proper. Whew. Crazy. Absolutely insanity what's going on with this. And a 2-gallon can of oil. He filled the radiator, bagged a map, and studied it. The service station boy in his white uniform seemed uneasy until the bill was paid. He said, You people sure do got some nerve. He looked up from the map. What you mean, question mark? This was Tom, by the way. Tom looked up from the map. What you mean? Well, crossings is likely like that. You been across? Sure, plenty. But not in such wreck like that. He's talking shit. It's no bueno. Tom said, if we broke down, maybe someone would give us a hand. Well, maybe, but folks are kind of scared to stop at night. I'll hate to be doing it. Takes more nerve than I got. Tom grinned. It don't take no nerve to do something where ain't nobody else you can do. Where there ain't nobody else you can do. Well, thanks. We'll drag along. And he got in the truck and moved along. The boy in white went to the iron building where his helper labored over a book of bills. Jesus, what a hard-looking outfit. Them Okies? They're all hard-looking. Jesus, I'd hate to start out in jalopy like that. Well, you and me got sense. Them goddamn Okies got no sense and no feeling. They ain't human. And a human being wouldn't live like they do. A human being could stand to be so dirty and miserable. They ain't a hell of a lot better than gorillas. This is awful. Wow. Just the same, I'm glad I ain't crossed the desert. No, hold on, Super 6. She sounds like a thrusting machine. The other boy looked down at his book of bills, and a big drop of sweat rolled down his finger and fell on the pink bills. You know, they don't have much trouble. They're so goddamn dumb they don't know what's dangerous. And Christ almighty, they don't know any better than what they got. Why worry? I'm not worrying, just thought if it was me, I wouldn't like it. That's 'cause you know better. They don't know any better. And he wiped the sweat from the pink bill with his sleeve. These guys are fucking stupid. Alright, the truck took the road and moved up the long hill. Through the broken rod and rock, the engine boiled very soon, and Tom slowed down and took it easy. Up the long slope, winding and twisting through dead country, burned white and gray, and no hint of life in it. This does not sound nice. Alright, probably going to finish 233, and then I'm going to start the next video. Once Tom stopped for a few moments, he let the engine cool, and then he traveled along. They topped the pass while the sun was still up, and looked down on the desert. Black cinder mounds in the distance, and yellow sun reflected on the gray desert. The little starred bush, sage, and greasewood threw bold shadows on the sand and bit of rock. The glaring sun was straight ahead. Tom held his hand before his eyes to see it all. They passed the crest and coasted down to cool the engine. They coasted down the long sweep to the floor of the desert, and the fan turned over to cool the water in the radiator. In the driver's seat, Tom and Al and Paul and Winefield on Paul's knee looked in the bright, dissenting sun, and their eyes were stony, and their brown faces were damp with perspiration. The burnt land and the black cindery hills broke the even distance and made it terrible in the redding light of the setting sun. Al said, Jesus, what a place! How'd you like to walk across her? People done it, said Tom. Lots of people done it. And if they could, we could. Lots must have died, said Al. Well, we ain't come out exactly clean. Al was silent for a while, and then the reddening desert swept past. Think we'll ever see them Wilsons again? Al asked. Tom flickered his eyes down to the oil gauge. I got a bunch of nobodies I ain't gonna see Miss Winfield for long. Just a bunch I got. Winefield said, Paul, I want to get out. Tom looked over at him. Might as well let everybody out before we settle down and drive it for a night. He slowed the car and brought it to a stop. Winefield scrambled out and urinated on the side of the road. Tom leaned out. Anybody else? Question mark? We're hauling our water up here, Uncle John said. Paul said, Winefield, you crawl up on top. You put my legs to sleep and sit on them. The little boy buttoned his overalls and obediently crawled up the backboard and on his hands and knees crawled over Grandma's mattress and forward to Ruthie. The truck moved on to the evening, and the edge of the sun struck the rough horizon and turned the desert red. Ruthie said, Wouldn't leave you set up there, huh? Wouldn't leave you set up there, huh? I didn't want you. It wasn't so nice as here. Couldn't lie down.